Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where our mission is to join together to create a nourishing liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship. You can't hear me? Now. Still? No? You can't? Is that better? Okay. Read my lips. Okay, how we working? Check, check. It's working? It's not. Maybe a little louder. Check, check, check. Testing, how's that? Oh, that's it, right there. That's the sweet spot. Okay. As I was saying, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where our mission is to join together to create a nourishing liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world. Or in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice. They steal the show every time. Every time. So I want to begin, as always, by embracing all that you bring with you to this space today, all of your unique beliefs, your background, your lifestyle, your experiences, your differences, everything that makes you who you are is welcome here this morning. And this includes those who hear me say this each Sunday, and also those who might be hearing it for the first time today, as well as those who are streaming with us. Thank you for being here too. So before we take a few moments to greet one another, I do want to go over a few things. First of all, you'll notice that our unity candle is lit at the front of our sanctuary this morning. For those familiar with this ritual, this is something we do when one of our members has passed away. Floyd Curtis passed away last Friday, and so we want to have this candle lit during our service as a reminder of his wonderful light and life. And of course, our condolences to his best friend, Elaine Stevens. I don't know if she's here this morning or not, but hey, Elaine. So, yeah, it's good to have you, and of course, so sorry for your loss.
And Todd, Dick Cleveland, too.
Dick Cleveland passed away. I didn't hear that.
George Gervin told me between services.
George Gervin told you between services. Do you know when?
I believe it was like
Just yesterday? Okay. So let's just take a few seconds, okay? Just a couple of breaths if we can. Thank you. Thank you. Couple of hopefully quick announcements. Thanks to everyone who has worked to help make our community auction such a success. We have already raised $12,500 towards our goal of $14,000 this year. This is a last opportunity to go through and bid on items. I ask that you do that so that we can meet our goal for both the fundraising part of this as well as the fundraising, because that's the great part of it, is it gives us all an opportunity to get to know each other, doing a lot of fun activities. So thanks to everyone for your generosity and time making this such a big success. Also, we are doing a kind of a campaign to sign on more Chalice Lighters, a program that the Unitarian Universalist Association has that allows different members of different congregations to pool resources to help congregations with some of the different financial needs that they might have for various projects. We hope to become eligible for that ourselves, but also are always glad to know that we can help others outside of our church. So if you want to be a Chalice Lighter, you can sign up in the back today. We're going to do it this week and then next week. As an added incentive, I have offered about an hour of virtual reality to one lucky winner per week. So everybody who is a Chalice Lighter, your name goes in the hat, and there's a drawing, and if you get it, you get to have an hour of virtual reality, which, as I say, is legal and better than reality. So a Chalice cookie. Okay, so this is everybody gets a Chalice.
No, if you're a Chalice
if you're a Chalice lighter, okay. All right, so everybody who signs up to be a Chalice lighter or is a Chalice lighter gets a cookie and a chance to win this drawing. By the way, first two winners are, if you haven't heard yet, Deb Rush. I don't know if Deb's here today. Deb Rush, and then Ed Caius. Where's Ed? Did you know that you won last week? All right, so you won, and then we got another chance today and then next Sunday as well. So thank you, Chalice lighters. Quickly want to ask for coffee volunteers. We have Scott Fitzgerald, who's just was a mainstay for us in making our coffee every Saturday, was injured over a year ago now and has not been able to be back to do that for us. We've had some wonderful volunteers, but they're not going to be able to continue in December. So if you are willing to come early and make coffee for the congregation, please let me know, or somebody, I guess me, because I don't know who to point you to. So yeah, let me know and I'll write down your name, and would love for you to help with that during December. So thank you. Finally, what about this display in front of us? Isn't that beautiful? So Carol Bryant, who makes sure that we have something beautiful to look at every Sunday, helped do this, along with Stephanie Sampson. I don't know if they're both still here or not, but there's Stephanie. Did Carol leave? Yes. Okay. Well, thanks to you both. And actually, it's a little bit of a bonus display for second service, because it wasn't quite complete the first service. It didn't have the bottle of wine. Okay, so you get to see the finished creation. So Stephanie, thank you so much. Yes, and Marion Moose is here in the building too, right? Where's Marion? Hey, Marion, good to have you. So say hi to Marion and take a few moments to greet one another. Okay, sorry to cut that short, but there'll be more opportunity to visit after our service during our social hour, so please do stay for that. But let's move forward now by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our faith, the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need, and may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and most importantly, cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
Our opening words this morning are from V. Emil Goodmanden. What we are, we have reached because of other people's planting. The thoughts, the values, the ideas, the feelings we possess are articulate because we have been the recipients of knowledge, kindness, love, and understanding. And above all, the mystery we call life, we owe to a presence yet unknown, yet still very near to us. For these gifts not our own, we give thanks. And now may we have faith in life to do wise planting, that the generations to come may reap ever more abundantly than we. May we be reminded of the wise ones of old who admonished, if you plan for 1 year, plant grain. If you plan for 10 years, plant trees. If you plan for centuries, plant souls. May we be bold in bringing to fruition the golden dreams of human kinship and justice. This we ask, that the fields of promise become fields of reality.
Please rise in body and spirit to sing the first in-service hymn of the morning, number 51, Lady of the Season's Laughter. Lady of the season's laughter, in the summer's glory near, when the winter follows after, teach our spirits not to fear. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning year. Sister of the evening starlight, in the falling shadows stay, here among us till the far light of tomorrow's dawning ray. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning day. Mother of the generations, in whose love all life is worth, everlasting celebrations bring our labors safe to birth. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning earth. Goddess of all time's progression, stand with us when we engage, hands and hearts to end oppression, writing history's terror page. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning age.
Good morning. I would like to invite our young and our young at heart forward for a very special story for all ages. Yesterday, was National Adoption Day. And in honor of that, Tara and Josie have graciously agreed to share their story with us this morning. So I will turn it over to you, Tara.
Okay. Can you hear me? So this is the story of how Josie found her name and her family. When she was in preschool, her teachers asked us to write a little story about how we found her name. They were doing that for all the kids, and what they didn't realize was that for our family, it was a little bit more complicated than just looking in a name book. So when you're hearing this story, think about how you came to your family. Were you born into your family? Were you adopted into your family? Is your family joined together from two different mommies and daddies and families? So think about your story and how you came to your family and got your name. Finding Your Family and Your Name by Mommy Tara Price with help from Daddy Ryan Price. My wonderful Josiana Christina Lynn. This is the story of how you got your family and your name. Our family is a little different, but that difference is part of what makes our love so strong. June 27th, 2012 was one of the most special days ever for your daddy and me, only we didn't know it yet. Why was it special? Because it was the day our baby girl, you, were born. But the day that you came out of your biological mom's tummy, we didn't even know what an important thing was happening. I didn't get to meet you until you were 6 weeks old. I was the fourth mom you had met in your life. Your first mom was your bio mom. She had made choices that hurt you when you were in her body, and you were taken from her for your safety. You were very, very sick at the beginning of your life. There were 2 other foster moms, and then they called me and asked if I would foster you and be your 4th mom. And I didn't know then that I'd get to be your forever mom. The evening I met you, I came home and your daddy was holding a tiny little bundle. I looked at your little face and I saw that you had the most beautiful blue-green eyes. But your eyes were so sad. It was like you were saying, "Will you be different?" And I promised in my heart that I would be. Now, about your name. The papers they gave us said your name was Josephine, but you were very, very small, and that name was very big and serious. So we looked up the meaning of the name. God will add to your family. We liked the meaning, but Josephine just didn't feel right, so we started calling you Josie for short. Time passed, and we grew to love you more and more. Sometimes I would hold you, and I would cry because my heart hurt for what had been done to you. And I wanted so much to be your forever mommy. I was afraid you would have to go away. Your biological mom had to be given many chances to get you back. You were from her tummy, and if she could prove you would be safe, she had the right. But it was very difficult because I felt in my heart you belonged with us. What seemed like a very long time passed before we got the news that you were going to be part of our family for keeps. We felt many things. Sad for your biological parents because they were hurting themselves by their choices and they would not get to know our amazing girl. But more than that, we felt joy that we would be your forever family. As your adoption day got nearer, we began to think about your name. By this time, we knew you as Josie. But Josie seemed a little short and simple for you. You already had a lot of personality. So we started thinking of bigger names that use Josie as a nickname. Josepha? No. Josette? Not quite right. Jocelyn? Maybe. Josiane? Ooh, we liked that name. And it had the same meaning as your birth name. God will increase our family. But is Josiane her name? Mm-mm. Why? Well, Nana kept saying it differently. She would look at you with so much love and say, "Oh, Josiana." Daddy said, "Josiana? I like that." We asked Nana why she kept saying it differently. And she said, "Because it's like a song, Josiana. And she is as beautiful as a song." And she was right. Your middle name story is much more simple. Christina for Aunt Cece, and Lynn for your Nana who loves you so very much. But the most important part of your name is your last name, Price. To get your last name, we had to go before a judge and promise that we would choose you before ourselves, and we would always keep you safe. We promised the judge that we would be your forever family, and we asked her to make official what we knew in our hearts. So she signed the papers, and you officially had our last name, Price. And so you are, Josiana Christina Lynn Price, a name like a song. Sometimes I sing it to myself out of joy that it's really true. Like your name promised, God added you to our family.
We have a special collection this morning which will benefit court-appointed special advocate partners. CASA partners support children in foster care and those at risk of entering the system by providing personal items, school supplies, and therapeutic programming. If this ministry speaks to you, we invite you to give generously using the envelopes found in your order of service. No need to seal them, as we will use them again. And Community and Family Services is in the back today if you'd like more information about adoption and foster care. They have a bin for clothing donations, which go to children who are moved to foster homes at night and need clothing. And when Josie found her forever family, this is what she was wearing. And when she arrived at the Price's home, she had 3 secondhand outfits and 1 bottle, and that is all she had with her. So that's just to underline why this is important to our community. So again, the bin for those donations is in the back this morning, and that bin will, going forward, be near Aria's office. So please consider donating in both ways. We now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which sustains this community and its mission to the larger world.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery, where do we come from? Where, mystery, where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery.
Thank you. We're now going to kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and thoughts this morning, and want to begin with a candle for church member Jonna Woodruff, who suffered a stroke last Saturday. She's at St. Luke's. They're going to be there for a few weeks. She does appreciate your thoughts and cards, as asking not to have visitors at this time. Also, a candle of care for our friend Elaine Stevens, and also for the people of California who are obviously suffering from some pretty terrible fires there, unprecedented fires there at this time. So let's take a moment of silence on behalf of others that you might be thinking of, and as always, you're welcome to name them aloud at this time if you'd like. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion.
As we move into a time of meditation, I invite you to find a comfortable posture and close your eyes if you'd like. The words to lead us into meditation this morning are adapted from Barbara Peskin. In this familiar place, be aware of breathing, creaking chairs, shuffling feet, clearing throats, and sighing all around. Know that each breath, movement, the glance meant for you or intercepted, holds a life within it.
I'm going to read three quick excerpts from the book Abundance. The future is better than you think. Humanity is now entering a period of radical transformation, in which technology has the potential to significantly raise the basic standards of living for every man, woman, and child on the planet. Within a generation, we will be able to provide goods and services once reserved for the wealthy few to any and all who need them or desire them. Abundance for all is actually within our grasp. Imagine a world of 9 billion people with clean water, nutritious food, affordable housing, personalized education, top-tier medical care, and non-polluting ubiquitous energy. Building this better world is humanity's grandest challenge. Abundance is about creating a world of possibility, a world where everyone's days are spent dreaming and doing, not scrapping and scraping.
To everything a season, to everything a time, a moment to move forward and leave the past behind. As summer turns to autumn and bids farewell to spring, there comes a time for turning to every living thing. The breezes change direction, the eastern homeward bound. The leaf turns from its leaves and falls upon the ground. The flower turns from blooming to slumber in the snow. And so to all the season, a time for letting go. Now is the time for turning, and this the place to start, for yielding to the yearning, for changing of the heart, a moment to surrender the things we should release. Forgive and find forgiveness, and in forgiveness peace, and in forgiveness
Thank you all. There we are. Check, check. We're checking it again. There we go. Thank you. So for those who haven't heard, I spent this past week at Singularity University in Moffett Field, California, at the NASA Research Park campus, sitting among more than 90 company executives from 34 different countries, listening to lectures from industry experts about artificial intelligence, virtual reality, rewriting DNA, the microbiome, brain implants, autonomous cars, and other innovative technologies that are already radically altering our world. I admit that it was an unusual environment for a minister to invest his time and resources in. Silicon Valley isn't exactly Mecca, but it called to me as sure as the Camino de Santiago and Stonehenge and Machu Picchu due to other sojourners. When other participants expressed friendly curiosity about my presence, most of whom were from other countries and had never heard of Unitarian Universalism before, it was a challenge to dismantle their misconceptions of what being a minister means to begin with, to introduce a little about how Unitarianism differs from other religions, and to explain my reasons for being there in just a few introductory comments. My faith embraces science and reason as a source of inspiration, I'd say. And in my studies, I've long understood evolution to be a process of convergence through which everything is moving towards unification in higher states of consciousness. This is the whole point of Brahmanism, the 3,000-year-old Hindu myth of Brahman, absolute reality asleep, dreaming about a universe containing a myriad of things that will end when this drowsy deity finally awakens to realize that everything is actually one. It's also what the Jesuit priest and paleontologist Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who helped discover the pecking man, more directly meant early in the 20th century when he said, "Life moves towards unification." So if anything, the founders of Singularity University, Peter Diamandis of the X Prize Foundation, and inventor futurist Ray Kurzweil, both best-selling authors, first encroached upon my professional territory. Diamandis, with his inspirational message of hope for our near future, and Kurzweil by sometimes using theological language to describe how technology will enable the universe to wake up and become sublimely intelligent. That's about as close to God as I can imagine, he says. I first heard about Singularity University several years ago upon reading Diamandis' book, Abundance, The Future is Better Than You Think. Each year, he explains, the graduate students are challenged to develop a company, product, or organization that will positively affect the lives of 1 billion people within 10 years. This challenge, I learned this week, is referred to as a student's 10x vision. My vision, it may surprise you, is to create something that harnesses exponential technologies to help bring the global human family together. I envision, for example, a platform that allows people all over the world to have a voice and a vote on the issues impacting us all. Or using virtual and augmented reality to help some of the poorest people or most isolated people anywhere behind a wall in Gaza, impoverished in sub-Saharan Africa, locked away in a prison, to find employment anywhere on the planet without leaving where they're at. And using AI to help us all instantly transcend our language barriers. Now, if this sounds like an impossible dream, keep in mind the technologies for making it happen already exist. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let me back up by talking about the meaning of the terms exponential and the singularity. In 2001, Ray Kurzweil wrote an essay entitled The Law of Accelerating Returns, which I'm sure many of you have read. In which he distinguishes between intuitive linear and historical exponential views of technological process. In brief, he explains that people intuitively assume that the current rate of progress will continue for future periods, that things will evolve at the same rate we're experiencing now. But from the broader historical view, he says, exponential growth is a feature of any evolutionary process of which technology is a primary example. Computational power, for example, doubles every year. Its evolution isn't a steady, linear, upward line, but a line that sharply bends from this sort of straight horizontal incline to suddenly a vertical line going straight up. That's exponential. And I won't go any further into the theory here. All you need to do is look at the many technological advancements wrought during the past 100 years, most of them most recently, which have especially accelerated during these last few decades, and you'll understand the meaning of exponential change, right? Any of you remember a time when these didn't exist? Way back when? I was 35. In 2005, Kurzweil published a best-selling book entitled The Singularity is Near. Some of you have read this one, surely. No? Get out. So, the singularity is near refers to the point at which technology allows intelligence to transcend biology, a small mouthful, leading to an explosion of rapid changes that will make the advances made during the next 100 years look more like 20,000 years of progress, he says, at today's rate. So during a lecture this week, Pascal Fenet, SU's Chair of Entrepreneurship and Open Innovation, pointed out that if we had a time machine that could bring Jane Austen 200 years into our present, which, by the way, this is the only technology I will mention today that does not yet exist, a time machine, just in case you were wondering. But if we could bring Jane Austen to our present, he says she'd probably go crazy because of all the changes. Not insane, but just like, whoa! You know, that kind of, what is happening here? But he says, if we brought someone from the 15th century, just 200 years forward into Jane Austen's future, they wouldn't have noticed any changes. In fact, he says we'd have to go back to get someone to have the same mind-blowing experience she had visiting us to 13,000 BC, to the Stone Age, just before the agricultural invention of agriculture. He calls this kind of reaction disruption. And you can see it on YouTube by watching the responses of people who experience virtual reality for the first time, or happen to be sitting in an autonomous car that suddenly speeds up to 75 miles per hour with nobody driving. Whoa! Have you seen these on YouTube? They're lots of fun. So in a world of exponential change, amidst a technological singularity, humans will have to live in a world of constant disruption that requires us to continuously learn and adapt. A world you may not realize that has already begun. Driverless cars are a great example. On my way home, or to the airport yesterday to come home, I asked my Uber driver what he was going to do when the automated cars take over the roads. He responded by saying, guess what? It won't happen for a very long time. Isn't something I need to worry about. Maybe, but consider this. During another lecture, Neil Jacobstein, SU's AI and Robotics Chair, showed us a 1904 photo of a busy New York City street filled with horses and 2 cars. A 1917 photo of that same busy street shows no horses and all cars. In 1900, there were only 8,000 cars in the world. Just 20 years later, there were 8 million. And that was a time when technology was not advancing nearly at the speed it is today. General Motors Chairman Mary Barra, who has predicted that the auto industry will change more in the next 5 years than it has in the past 50, says that automated cars will soon become a second office, allowing passengers to work while AI does the driving. It also means those who are no longer able to drive themselves don't have to give up their own autonomy. They can still go anywhere they want at any time. The technology is already here. Now it's just a matter of waiting for mass production and regulations to catch up. Before going into the reasons that I think this kind of information is important to all of us, let me take a few moments to talk about what some of the informational highlights of the week were for me. I didn't know, for instance, that between 2015 and 2016, just 1 year, 2-legged robots from a variety of engineering groups working on the technology went from constantly and comically losing their balance and falling over while conducting difficult feats or traversing slightly uneven terrain, to being able to run upstairs and do perfect backflips thanks to advances in artificial intelligence. Again, in just 1 year. There are also now robots so small that they can sit on the cross-section of a human hair. And nano-sized robots powered by electromagnetic fields that can then be ganged together like the individual cells of a muscle to perform fantastic feats. Although AI isn't self-aware just yet, it is now able to make decisions on its own thanks to deep learning, that is, by collating information from thousands, even millions of sources in an instant. AI robots are already making decisions on their own on the surface of Mars, beneath Arctic ice sheets, on our roadways, and increasingly in the realms of medicine and criminal law. Susan Gildert, founder and CEO of Sanctuary AI, heads one among many companies working to build embodied AI robots that are indistinguishable from humans. She reasons that if we want AI to have our values and be able to relate to us and us to them, they need to learn as humans, with humans, in human environments. She doesn't worry about them being heartless machines, terminators. On the contrary, she expects them to obtain hyper-empathy and compassion and to actually go on to serve as our companions, our therapists, our caregivers, our nurses, and even our entertainers. Gee, Todd, why the long face? I got a joke for you. So maybe you've seen Sophia. Have you seen Sophia, the humanoid robot that was made by Hansen Laboratories? She's been making the rounds on television, late night shows, whatnot. You can go on YouTube and watch her, I'm sure. Not only is she kind of becoming the first AI celebrity, but she's also the first robot to have been granted legal citizenship, in this case by Saudi Arabia. Impressive as they are, that's a historical thing, right? That's historical. Who knows how long it'll take for the second AI robot to become a citizen. But as impressive as they are, these AI robots are far from being indistinguishable from human beings, for sure. But given the law of accelerating returns, they're likely to be perfected sooner than we find imaginable. We have a demo model out at the university interacting with people, Gildert says, that doesn't feel like it's moving very fast, but compare it to how many Teslas were shipped in 2008 versus today. How many Teslas were shipping in 2008? Does anybody know? One, right? Because that's when Tesla was invented, just 2008, same year Barack Obama became president. So 4 years later, in 2012, it was 321 Teslas. So not so impressive. This year, 6 years later, it's delivering more than 80,000 cars. That's exponential. That's a 26,000% exponential growth. Again, in 1900, there were only 2 cars on a street dominated with horses. 20 years later, there were no horses, congested, and a street congested with automobiles. Now, personally, I think companies like Sanctuary AI will succeed in creating humanoid robots sooner than most of us imagine. But I also think that they will be obsolete before that happens. There'll be an unnecessary novelty due to the much more rapid advance of extended reality, meaning virtual and augmented reality. Virtual reality, which hit the consumer market less than 3 years ago, is already capable of transporting us anywhere in the universe to a precise replication of Mars, for instance, developed by NASA, given away to us for free based on rover and other lander photos. And for the first time, very recently, topographers began to be able to walk on virtual simulations of Mars in order to accurately map its surface, something they've not been able to do until now. We can visit with others from around the world in virtual social spaces and meeting rooms. We can go into a virtual submarine and explore the sunken Titanic. Visit museums, climb Mount Everest, fly to other planets, relax on the beach, base jump, rock climb, go to a large screen theater in the comfort of your own home, and so much more. Even more importantly, virtual reality is helping us to rewire human brains to bypass damaged bodies where certain connections have been lost. Paraplegics are regaining the ability to move their legs simply by learning to walk in virtual reality. Burn victims living in chronic pain alleviate their anguish in a way that drugs simply cannot do by going into a frozen virtual reality environment and throwing snowballs at virtual penguins. It's being used to train athletes in professional sports, to take school kids on virtual field trips, to train employees at Walmart and Lowe's, and to learn how to operate heavy equipment without worrying about dangerous and expensive accidents. All of that's happening right now. Augmented reality, which is even more impressive, doesn't create a virtual space, but virtual objects in real space. Instead of owning a physical television or a computer or even a cell phone, we can simply put on a pair of glasses and have all these things appear right in front of us in whatever environment we choose to be in. You want to do your work on the beach? Go right ahead. On the moon, you can do that too. And this again has already happened. I experienced it just this week. The dematerialization of stuff, they call it, is going to save a lot of resources. And being able to go anywhere and be with anyone will reduce our need to travel burning fossil fuels or using any kind of energy in the process. Dematerialization will also allow AI to exist anywhere, in whatever form we want, as a person, as a talking dog, what have you, in whatever form it chooses for itself. So, I don't see any reason for AI to get locked into a physical body. There may be robot bodies that any of us, AI or humans, can temporarily inhabit and control through virtual reality headsets when we need to have a physical presence elsewhere to do a dangerous repair job, for example. But I don't see any widespread need for AI to have physical bodies. So since extended reality is already so advanced, I just don't see a massive need for embodied AI. They'll be able to go wherever they want, essentially. So speaking of going to space, most everyone, and this part's just for fun because I dream about space travel like a lot of people, but everyone has probably heard that we're planning to go to Mars in 2030 or by 2030. Have you heard this? It's in the works. So the idea is that we will someday inhabit it as a plan B, just in case Earth doesn't work out. Even though the trip to Mars is likely to happen and eventually some people may live there, it's not really considered to be a viable plan for expanding our presence into the universe. I was surprised to learn upon hearing Greg Mariniak, an internationally recognized and award-winning NASA scientist, that the idea of constructing cities in space is being taken far more seriously than finding another planet to live on. Plans already exist for space cities the size of Switzerland that would include gravity and shield its inhabitants from cosmic radiation. These cities will dwell in what is called free space, outside of the gravity wells that planets are in, escaping from which is the most dangerous part of space travel. So if you imagine a sort of blanket of space and there's a planet in it, that planet dips down into that space and creates a pocket that pulls everything in towards the planet. That's the gravitational well. So trying to escape that takes a lot of force, and that takes a lot of explosives, and that's why we have accidents. So in free space, outside of the harsh pool of planets, we're not going to have that problem. So some speculate that 1 trillion of us will eventually live in these space cities, far more than will have ever inhabited the Earth. And the Earth will probably be like a national park that we go to visit now and then, hopefully a beautiful, pristine national park. And again, these plans are already in the works, and billions of dollars are being spent by entrepreneurs to make them happen, like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, who didn't start off life wanting to start a shipping company or an auto plant, but started off wanting to go to space. So did this guy, Peter Diamandis, you know. He wanted to make it possible to go to space. That was his childhood dream, so he's doing what it takes to make it happen. But even more exciting than space exploration is the positive impact technologies like these are already having on our environment, particularly regarding global warming. There are 5 major sources of carbon emissions: electricity, agriculture, manufacturing, transportation, and buildings. None of which is a main culprit, and all of which are being impacted by emerging technologies. For instance, we are now beginning to use large-scale 3D printers to construct affordable, energy-efficient houses using very few materials at a cost of about $8,000 each, and they're expecting to get that down to about $4,000 per home in the very near future. Not only does this save resources, it's how communities like ours can address homelessness and housing, and perhaps even lead to a world that guarantees housing, is able to guarantee housing as a basic human right. 3D printing is also being used to combine and make parts for airplanes and automobiles and other products that are lightweight and use much fewer resources. Agriculture, especially cows, produce as much CO2 as energy production because of the methane gas that they make. Today, a variety of companies are producing real meat and leather in laboratories out of stem cells. This process doesn't kill animals, costs less, and uses much less land and water compared to live animal production. Humane meats are expected to be on the market in just a few months. Extended reality, as I mentioned, is also eliminating the need to use material resources and is going to disrupt our need to travel as much as we do. The airline companies should take notice. As far as energy goes, you may have heard that Peabody Coal went from an all-time financial high in 2011 to bankruptcy just 2 years later. In fact, between 2011 and 2017, 75% of coal companies around the world went bankrupt. Yeah, I'm not disappointed about that one. And natural gas is one reason, but so is the rapidly growing renewable energy industry, which now accounts for about 25% of our energy production. Since 1980, the cost of wind energy has plummeted and is now selling for as little as 2 cents per kilowatt, the lowest price for energy in history. A big part of this is the growth of wind production, driving down the cost along with exponentially improved wind harnessing technologies. And likewise, since 1980, the cost of solar energy has dropped 250 times, from $77 per kilowatt to just 30 cents. Today, the cheapest coal and oil produced energy is twice that amount. It's predicted solar energy will cost a penny per kilowatt in the 2020s. An industry that has grown 50 times larger in just the past 10 years. More solar was installed last year alone than in its entire history. Since wind and solar can be combined, and one is produced better at night and the other during the day, and because new battery technologies for storing these energies, they are expected to soon cover most of the world's energy needs. And despite his bravado, coal and oil champion Donald Trump hasn't been able to make a dent in any of these green energy trends. Of course, the damage is already done. The climate has already changed, even if we do dramatically reduce our carbon emissions. This means we need to develop technologies to help reverse its impacts. Fortunately, this is happening too. Technologies now exist that can remove carbon from the air. And drones are being used to go into remote areas where they can impregnate the ground with new, bioengineered, faster-growing trees, nature's way of dealing with the problem. And just this year, a team met the X Prize Foundation's challenge to develop a technology that can, now follow this, the challenge was to collect a minimum of 2,000 liters of water per day from the atmosphere using 100% renewable energy at a cost of no more than 2 cents per liter. Would you consider that a pretty big demand? SkySource Skywater Alliance, the winner of this challenge, is already using this technology to pull fresh water out of thin air in some of the most parched places on the planet. There are already so many other transformative technologies I heard about this week that I don't have time to go into, including gene editing, that already allows us to turn off those genes responsible for things like Alzheimer's and HIV and certain types of cancer. And chips that can go into our heads and enhance our memories. They exist. Nor do I have time to go into some of the frightening possibilities some of these technologies present, like AI taking over the world, which I don't think is going to happen, but the weaponization of Gen Tech, the takeover of our personal data, and so much more. By the way, I was warned, if you're going to do one of those genetic testings, once you do that, they control your data. So there are some companies that are promising not to do that, that you get to own your data. And in the future, our data is going to be worth something to us. And so there's a big movement right now to make sure that individuals are the owners of their own data. So try not to give it away at this point, if you can help it. That's just a little outside advice there. But, as with everything, there are sure to be some unforeseen consequences, maybe even some icebergs that we've been warned about that we just don't take seriously. But a future without problems is probably the one thing about tomorrow I guarantee will not happen. I bring all of this up today and am personally inspired by it because it gives me tremendous hope both for today and tomorrow, at one of the most dire points in human history. We face some of the biggest problems ever, yet also have some of the most incredible solutions ever, accompanied by some of the greatest advances in human history that are about to change everything. When Bill Clinton met Peter Diamandis, the author of his favorite book, he said, "Why are you so positive? Don't you watch the news?" Diamandis told him, "No, I don't." Not because he tries to avoid disturbing information. He doesn't watch the news because he doesn't believe it's true. During his lecture this week, he pointed out that bad news is presented today 10 to 1, missing all of this progress we're making, and that things like income, lifespan, and food availability are up, while the cost of energy, transformation, and communication is down. In 1820, 94% of the people on the planet lived in extreme poverty. Today, it's 10%. 83% had no education. Today, 86% of us have basic education. 88% were illiterate. Today, it's only 15%. Only 1% lived in democracies. Today, it's 56%. 0% were vaccinated against common diseases. Today, it's 86%. 43% of children died before the age of 5. Today, it is only 4%. So I took my pilgrimage to Silicon Valley, not to have my cup filled, but because I know the cup that's half empty is also the cup that is half full. I took my sojourn to find hope for a future that so easily looks dire, but left with a faith in the here and now. I left an American who sat among nearly 100 strangers from countries around the globe and found myself part of one human family that transcends nationality. This morning I got a group message from one of my newfound friends in the UK. By the way, I got it on WhatsApp, which I think seems to make me very cool. I didn't have a WhatsApp until this week, but I've got WhatsApp, and about 100 people are constantly vibrating in my pocket. So, the connection gets to stay with me. Anyway, this friend from the UK sent this message to the group saying, "I love this photo." And it was a picture of a placard stating, "People have no idea how fast things are changing. Spread the gospel." Thank you.
We're going to skip that last hymn today, so please stand as you're able to do so, and we'll hold hands.
Our closing words this morning are from Megan Dowdell. As a Unitarian Universalist, I cannot claim a God who simply damns those who do bad things to hell. Instead, I find myself saved in a community that wishes to build a world of justice, mercy, and compassion for all, knowing I am not the last to need saving. Amen. Blessed be. Assalamu alaikum and shalom.
Shalom.